Hi, everybody. This is Kevin from The Kevin Lee Show, and I just wanted to welcome you to my podcast. And if you've been here before and you've heard my podcast and you're now returning, then I want to welcome you back to my podcast. I also wanted to take a quick moment just to touch base with you and talk to you about my website, which is thekevinleeshow.com. That's thekevinleeshow.com. And the reason why I wanted to mention it to you is it's kind of like a central hub of all my stuff. So if you're ever interested in either listening to my podcast, reading my blogs, watching my videos, or just checking me out on social media, you can find all the information and all the links right there. But without further ado, it's time for the podcast. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time it might be, wherever you may be. Welcome to The Kevin Lee Show. Alrighty, everybody. I just wanted to take a second here before I get going and apologize first off if my voice sounds a little scratchy or if I have to pause from time to time to take some water because where I live, it is springtime and my allergies are going a little haywire. Also, if you hear any little voices or banging or noises in the background, that's just my two little ones. So ignore them. And if it annoys you, sorry. Anyways, here's the blog. Bipartisanship is dead. Sort of. And what I mean by bipartisanship is dead, sort of, is that it should be, and that it kind of already is. Sort of. Let me explain. You see, Republicans don't exist, and neither do Democrats. At least not anymore. But what we are left with is a linear spectrum of thoughts and behavior which range from liberal to conservative, left to right. That's it. Then, to muddy the waters, throw in the fact that most people from either party hold views that could, and usually do, fall into both political categories. It would probably be alarming to most people to see where their views would fall on that spectrum in regards to certain subjects. So why then do people choose to wear the labels Democrat and Republican? Basically, out of habit. Don't believe me? Watch just about any man-on-the-street bit on either late-night television or cable news, and I can guarantee very few people will know much when it comes to politics or those office holders that are behind them. Side note, I know people think that these channels and shows only use the examples interviewed where people look bad. Truth is, it doesn't take long for them to fill the needed spots. They ask people from both the left and the right questions about just about any contributing member of society should be able to answer. But it seems as though very few folks have a clue as to what their elected officials believe, have done, and said. They'll ask who said a particular statement or took a particular action, and these regular members of our world get it wrong with frightening consistency, regardless of which party they root for. Why? Because these people believe that they are either liberal or conservative, and that's all that matters. When in truth, it's not, and most people don't even have a clue who they really are politically speaking. Why do they think that they are one or the other? Well, that depends on a number of factors. But before we go there, there's another important distinction we need to discuss. That's because what's even sadder is not really knowing what's going on or where you stand, is that a growing majority of constituents are becoming single-issue voters. All that matters to these people is just that one issue, nothing more, nothing less. They've become apathetic to what stance the rulers of their chosen party take on for almost any other topic, even if they vehemently disagree with it, so long as the party still stands for and speaks about fill in the blank, abortion, taxes, freedom of speech, guns, immigration, etc. With all that said, though, it isn't always as black and white as that, especially for older members of our society. At least in their case, this elder group is usually a bit more entrenched in their political beliefs, and though they might not support every single thing this like-minded body supports, they usually agree with an overwhelming majority of the stances. And then, of course, you have the true believers of either party, who support each attitude and every policy that their little club affirms. Period. Without question, and honestly, without thought. We all know people who fall into this category, and if you don't, then chances are you are one of them. They refuse to listen to any dissent from their point of view, and And even when confronted with irrefutable evidence, they have but one rebuttal: deny, deny, deny. And if you don't listen, they just get louder. Again, back to the point. Not only do most people not truly belong to a single party, many citizens have contrasting beliefs. For instance, some believe that we need to eliminate welfare program funding for unwed mothers, and also make abortions virtually impossible to get. Others believe that we need to tax business owners even more money. Some people think that this percentage should be twice or 3 times as much as it is currently. And then turn around and raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Minimum. And expect them not only to not fire employees, but actually hire more workers. And let's not forget about our third-party option, who wants the government to not only guarantee every citizen, including non-citizens, the right to free health care and free education. When asked where the money will come from, they respond, from the rich. They have enough money. Mind you, I don't see many, or any for that matter, well-to-do independents volunteering their treasure troves of wealth for the cause. Bernie. So, why do so many people hold on to this false identity of left and right? Simple. Fear. People are inherently afraid of change, and frankly, I can't blame them. At times it can be quite scary. And if we're honest, also laziness. It's a lot of work to change, and frankly, it's just easier not to. Why don't you move away? It's too much work. Why don't you get a new job? Too much work. Why don't you lose weight? I don't think I need to answer that. And no, it's not glandular. Now, I'm not saying that you necessarily need to change. Some people are obviously far more left or more right and don't need a major overhaul. But may I suggest that you sit down and make a list? I love lists. They can literally save the world. But that's for a different blog. This list will consist of the views that you hold, but it's vitally important that you don't think about your viewpoints as you go. Just take whatever thoughts come into your head and write them down. It's really a simple and very effective process. First thing you'll do is write down 5 to 10 vitally important issues facing our world today. I've given some examples down at the bottom. Write these down on the left side of the paper or screen. Sorry, I'm old. And then write down your immediate gut response to the adjacent topic on the right side. I know it sounds corny, but it's effective. It's much easier to see what you think when you can actually see it. My guess is that you might actually surprise yourself with an answer or two. When you're done, reflect and take it all in. You'll know what to do at that point. That takes care of the people who need a little fine-tuning. But what about the rest of us, the majority? Well, I suggest performing the same exercise, but with you, you'll more than likely be shocked. Not so much simply surprised with what is revealed about what you actually think. Now, in that case, don't panic. It's okay. First off, change can be good. And secondly, you're not actually changing, but rather introducing the real you to, well, you. When meeting you, just remember to be polite and use your manners. The funny thing about life is that so many of us are sure we know ourselves, that we know and that we know where we stand and what we stand for. And for sure, a certain number of us do, but that number isn't nearly as big as you might think. I said in the beginning that Democrats don't exist and that Republicans don't exist. But I've also mentioned contrary examples to that a few times during the article. Why? Simple. Sure, these people believe that they are either left or right, but regardless of their belief, you can't belong to something that doesn't exist. The reason why bipartisanship is dead is because the majority of the people who work for and in both of these political parties are separated in title only. That's why. So, if it makes you feel better to have a label such as Democrat or Republican, fine, go ahead and use it. But it doesn't change anything. The truth is, as the old saying goes, lies somewhere in the middle. And that middle is a vastly growing number. Soon, not only might there be at least 3 major political parties in the United States, but there could even be a greater wrench thrown into the whole system. No parties at all. I know your gut is telling you, that's impossible. But I can assure you, stranger things have happened. I mean, do you think our country started out with Democrats and Republicans? Thanks for taking the time to read and listen. Kevin. Now for those examples I told you about. These are the examples of important issues that could be considered. First Amendment rights, Second Amendment rights, immigration reform, abortion, the war on drugs, our prison system, health care, primary education, college education, term limits for all federally elected officials. This short list is far from an exhaustive selection. You should start here and feel free to add whatever else might pop into your head. Good luck!